Greetings this time. Big Shiat will be rambling about the expansion model of WoW of World Warcraft. Please note that this video is about MO game design and is not crying or begging Blizzard to change precious vanilla video game Warcraft. Big Shiat be just thinking about the future of MMORPGs or even private servers and rethinking some of these traditional systems. Are they really an improvement for the game ?
Big shit here, and as you can see, I'm on my old TBC character, and I wanted to talk about the expansion model. I've had these thoughts about the way WoW is designed for a long time, and I just couldn't be bothered making a video, but I'm like, I may as well ramble and upload something to my channel. I don't like the expansion model. I think it's short-sighted. I think it's bad design. I think the way, let's say, like RuneScape designs their updates is a lot more intelligent. And I know RuneScape's just like a click game, but that's like that's besides the point, because I'm talking about like the raw systems and the way content is designed and implemented. It does, like, the fact that RuneScape's a click game has nothing to do with this. So like, let's see, these vanilla zones here are pretty much invalidated, and like all of the old raids like BWL, MC, once TBC comes out, are just pointless, right? Largely pointless. Like, yeah, sometimes you go and do them for fun, which is fine, but the vast majority of players are going to be in Outland now, and a lot of vanilla players would agree. They'll say this themselves, that they hate how TBC invalidated the old zones and how no one's in the old zones now, and the old world's better than Outland, which I would agree. But the thing is, like, Outland can exist alongside Azeroth, but the problem is that they added 10 more levels to the game. And now you have to level 10 times, so now you spend all your time in Outland, and then you're level 70, so everything level 60 is going to be power crept to shit, and they do that on purpose. That's one of the biggest problems I have with the expansion model. Like, you don't need to design power creep that extreme. And if we look at retail WoW now, everything is power. Like, it's now, instead of being an expansion-based power creep, it's a fucking patch power creep. So they just went full swing on it. In retail, like, you sub, and the only thing that's relevant is the current raid and the current season of dungeons. Like, why I should have to, I don't know. I think it's stupid that I play retail, and the first two tiers, like the Razagor or whatever the fuck, and the other one is just pointless to do. I just do Emerald Dream Raid, like, and it's because they simplified the gear so much. And once you simplify the gear way too much, everything just boils down to pure item level going up. So it's almost the same as like leveling, how everything gets boiled down to increasing your level. Item level, and the way retail gear is designed, it's so one-dimensional and binary that it's just, okay, my item level went up, my main stat went up, so it's better. So then now I only have to do one piece of content, and everything else is quote-unquote a waste of time, other than for fun, which I went and did some of the stuff for fun, but I just think it's a very foolish way to design a game. And if you have more complicated gear, you could design gear with like maybe even more stats than just these core 5. And yeah, it might be complicated or whatever, but the more options you have, the more pieces of gear you can design that aren't just like a complete upgrade. So if we look at like Naxxramas, I don't know, personally, to me, I think like getting this ATS or getting BRE or something from Ragnaros or Rag's Hammer or whatever. I think like this gear is cooler than getting a level 64 two-handed sword in Outland and just replacing it. And I know a lot of people would say they feel exactly the same. Rightfully so, though. A lot of people hate on the expansion model invalidating old world stuff. But when you say like, oh, I don't like that level 60 Burning Steps and Silithus and like BRM invalidate like Wailing Caverns and Scarlet Monastery, suddenly that's heresy or whatever. This is just like the most evil thing you can say in terms of World of Warcraft, but it's okay. It just doesn't really make much sense, because if you boil it down, it's like the same thing. TBC invalidating level 70 invalidating level 60 is the same thing as level 60 invalidating level 50 content like Sunken Temple. The whole concept of Classic Plus is what happens if, instead of going to TBC and increasing the level cap by 10, after Naxxramas, and like maybe they have to rebalance Naxx gear, which Project Epoch is actually doing, because they recognize that the Naxx gear was so much more powerful than the other patches that it's going to have to be rebalanced, right? That's just like how it's going to happen. So Yeah, obviously you'd have to make changes if you were to do something like this, but like I said, the Classic Plus philosophy is like, let's make new content but not invalidate the old world. Let's put all this new content in the old world. Like you have Highjaw, you have all these other zones you can add at level 60, but then Highjaw should not be designed to invalidate Silithus or BRM or whatever. It should just be like, maybe the gear can be slightly better or like side grades. Like I said, you have to have some linear and horizontal progression, but you don't need to design content that just like designing stuff in a way that it just makes it so much more powerful than old stuff is just a cheap way to like make people excited about stuff for the short term, and then in 2 weeks you're annoyed by it. Like I would much rather them like it's just a hypothetical world where there's no levels again. Like I'm going back to those 2 videos I made. So let's just say Wailing Caverns is like level. There's no levels, and they add like all. There's no levels. All the zones are done. All the raids are done. They're all relevant. Wailing Caverns is just as relevant as fucking Skullomance, let's say, like in terms of power level of gear. And obviously, like maybe they make Wailing Caverns better, which Project Epoch is actually redone Wailing Caverns. But just like think, I'll give you like a little example of something they could do. And I know I've said this about like Thunderclap in the past, but it's just because it's easy to use as an example. So let's say the boss Scum from Wailing Caverns drops boots that cause your Thunderclap to scale with, or causes your Thunderclap to scale with attack power, or maybe it converts some of your attack power to spell power, and then Thunderclap scales with spell power. Like that could just be an effect on boots, like Thunderclap. Like you can have certain class effects on items that cause people to go after those items for certain playstyles and builds. And that's a way to make like all the dungeons provide something at least somewhat interesting. And I'm not advocating putting like crazy abilities on it, but they already have tier sets that change the way you play. So I don't really think there's anything wrong with having like a warrior item drop from a 5-man, like from Scum, that does something. And let's say like you talk about inventory system too, so it's like, oh, but I don't want to collect all this gear, like my inventory is gonna get fucking blumped up and my bank's gonna be full of gear. But you could just implement something like the retail collections tab for gear, or you could maybe make like an armory where you go to and you have to pay for an instance armory room, and then all your gear and weapons stored there, and it's like infinite, like soulbound item storage. There's not like what would be wrong with that, because it's not like you can just run around with infinite amount of like profession mats or whatever and blah 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 economy yada yada. There's bots anyways, but that's like a solution to an inventory problem. So it's just something to think about, like. And then again, like just think when Wrath comes out, no one's in Outland except for leveling. Like when you add 10 levels and power crept gear and raids, then everything just starts boiling down to how much XP you can get. And that's how most people play the game. And even if I don't play the game, it doesn't matter, because that's how everyone plays the game, because they want to feel, they have like a psychological need to be at the relevant content. And I mean, I even feel that sometimes too, like you just want to be at the relevant content doing the relevant thing and clearing the relevant raid. Like that's just how people play games. And you can see the negative effects of the expansion model even with retail. Like they had to fucking do a level squish, so you go from what, it would have been 130 and they're like, now we're gonna go back to level 60. Like they have to do level squish, they have to do a fucking stupid DPS and stat squish like every like half a year, because they power creep shit so bad. It's just so dumb. Like your DPS should not go from like 10,000 to 500,000 in the course of one expansion. I don't know who's designing this, but they're not very bright. And you can even see it like the new player experience. Like I said, there's a Nixium video where he's talking about, he's probably fucking I just skim them usually, or I just see him, but he's like, they've ranted about the like trying to get new players to play the game forever, and people just log in, they start questing, and there's like 100 levels or 70 levels, and it's gonna take them 6 days, and they're like, I don't want to do this shit. So when you keep adding stupid levels, it just makes it more annoying. Like it's just boring, man. Like I know some of you like it, but the reality is a lot of people are turned off from playing the game because they don't want to sit there and do stuff they don't want. Everyone keeps saying it's an MMO, it's an MMO. Like, no, if it was, the MMO is the massively multiplayer online. There are games without levels. Like EVE Online doesn't have any fucking levels. There's the part where the leveling thing is from RPGs, and typically single player RPGs or D&D. But even in D&D, like levels are something that's on the side. Like you don't have to go and grind 100 boar assholes in D&D to level up. You just play the campaign or whatever, and you get XP. Like Like XP is always supposed to be a side thing, but in MMOs they turn this side progression system that you get that allows you to customize into the main, like into some gate, into a big giant fucking Berlin Wall that you have to run through gunfire to play the game. Like you can, like, in a hypothetical world, let's say you could still have levels. Like they already have something like a Paragon system. So let's say everything's relevant in endgame. You could have like, you could still have the 1 to 60 leveling, but it doesn't have any effect on like weapon skill or something, or what mobs you can hit. And you can design a different way around that. Like maybe it just gives you some more customization points for your class. Like, and you can get levels from doing the raid. You can get levels from every part of the game. You should just get XP for playing the game. It shouldn't be locked behind questing or fucking killing mobs my level. Like it's dumb. I'm sorry, it's just dumb, and